Have you ever held a wool sweater and wondered how something so soft could survive centuries of change? Every year, we invent new fabrics, from recycled plastics to lab-grown fiber. Yet wool, this ancient gift from sheep, refuses to go out of style. Why? Because beneath every scarf, coat, or blanket lies a story woven not just with thread, but with tradition, care, and the quiet rhythm of nature. In the highlands of New Zealand, a shepherd wakes before dawn, not to follow a trend, but to tend to a legacy that's older than most cities. And the journey, it's nothing short of miraculous. From wind-swept pastures to ultra-modern textile mills, a single fleece becomes part of an $80 billion global fashion engine. But the real magic is what this journey tells us about balance, respect, and what it means to create something that lasts. So if you've ever worn wool or plan to again, stay with me, because what you're about to discover may change the way you look at every thread. Before there were machines, malls, or even mirrors, there was wool. From the icy battlefields of ancient Europe to the royal chambers of Persian kings, wool has wrapped itself around the history of civilization, quietly, reliably, and beautifully. Thousands of years ago, shepherds in Mesopotamia learned to spin fleece into fabric, not just for survival, but for dignity. Wool became more than protection. It became a symbol of craft, class, and culture. And somehow, in our fast-paced world of synthetic blends and tech wear, wool never left. Why? Because wool isn't just a fiber. It's a natural engineer. It insulates in winter and breathes in summer. It repels water, resists fire, and even cleans itself. What other fabric can do all that without a single chemical? But here's what's truly timeless. It isn't mass-produced by machines. It's grown, strand by strand, on the back of a living, breathing animal. And every year, more than 4.4 billion pounds of it is harvested from the highlands of Australia, the valleys of New Zealand, and the mountains of China. These regions don't just produce wool, they preserve a way of life, a way that connects people to land and materials to meaning. So next time you pull on a cozy wool sweater, remember, you're not just wearing wool. You're wearing a story older than
there we
history
go, nice
itself.
and easy.
And
Just
that
your
story
regular
begins
checkup.
not in a factory, but in a quiet field at sunrise.
All finished.
Meet Thomas. He's 63, lives on a 6th-generation sheep farm in New Zealand, and still wakes up before sunrise to walk the pastures, just like his grandfather did. His hands are worn as pace steady, but when he speaks about his flock, there's a warmth in his eyes that no machine could ever replicate. To raise sheep, he says, you don't just need fences. You need patience, respect, and a good pair of boots. On Thomas's farm, every sheep has a name, not because it's necessary, but because it's tradition. He knows which he gave birth to twins last spring, which ram prefers the eastern slope, and which lamb was born during the worst storm in decades. But this isn't a sentimental story. It's a system, a balance of biology and intuition that produces some of the finest wool on earth. Before a single thread is spun, there's a year's worth of care. Rotational grazing to protect the soil, specialized diets to enhance fleece quality, vaccinations, regular health checks, and parasite control. Each step is logged, tagged, tracked, not for marketing, but for excellence. Because when the animal thrives, the wool shines. And for Thomas, this isn't just business. It's a calling. I won't see all the clothes my wool turns into, he says. But I like to think somewhere someone's worn tonight because of what we did here. This is where the journey truly begins. Not with machines or markets, but with a quiet man, a thoughtful herd, and a morning mist that smells like rain and earth. Next, we'll see how this wool, fresh from the field, starts its transformation through the ancient yet exacting art of shearing.
Rough handling
If you
bruises
think
the fibre.
raising sheep is as simple as tossing out some hay and letting them roam, think again. Modern sheep farming is a blend of ancestral wisdom and cutting-edge science. A system where the health of the animal is directly tied to the beauty of the wool it produces. On farms like Thomas's, every flock is managed like a symphony. Each sheep is tagged with its own digital record, tracking age, weight, fleece yield, even personality quirks. Grazing patterns are rotated on a schedule mapped by soil health sensors and satellite imagery. Water access is monitored with automated systems that adjust for temperature and weather. Why go to such lengths? Because every factor affects the fleece. Not just what the sheep eat, but not just where it grazes, but how long. Even stress, caused by overcrowding or sudden noise, can damage fiber structure. Before breeding season, ewes are given an enriched diet, a practice known as flushing, to increase utility and produce lambs with finer and stronger wool. During lambing season, the farm becomes a nursery. Lights stay on, hearts stay ready, and every birth is attended with the kind of care usually reserved for maternity wards. And it doesn't stop there. Throughout the year, sheep receive deworming treatments, hoof inspections, and coat checks. Barns are kept dry and breezy to prevent parasites. The animals are handled gently, calmly, because rough handling doesn't just bruise the sheep, it bruises the fiber. It's not just care, it's precision care. A philosophy that says, if nature gives us her best, we must return the favor. And when the season turns warm and fleeces are full, it's time for the next phase, shearing. The artful moment where a year's worth of quiet labor becomes something tangible, soft, and full of promise. It's early morning. The air is still. And inside the shearing shed, there's a rhythm, a hum that feels almost sacred. Shearing isn't just a job. It's a performance. And for the most skilled shearers, it's a dance of speed, strength, and sensitivity. Each sheep is guided gently into position when the shearer begins, not with roughness, but with a calm grip and steady hand. The blades, powered by precision clippers, move in a practice sequence. Belly, legs, shoulders, back. Every pass is designed to remove the fleece in one smooth, continuous piece. It takes less than 2 minutes to shear a sheep, but it takes years to master the technique that keeps the animal calm and the fibers unbroken. And in that moment, there's something unspoken. Trust between the hands of a human and the body of an animal that's been cared for all year. After the shearing, the sheep isn't scared. It doesn't bolt. It simply walks away, lighter, cooler, and ready for the next season. Then comes the examination. Each fleece is spread out like a canvas. Thick, white, warm to the touch. The best sections from the back and side are reserved for high-end garments. The shorter, dirtier fibers go to industrial use. Carpets, insulation, mattress fill. Nothing is wasted. Everything has purpose. And as the shearers pause for tea, they don't boast about speed. They talk about smooth runs, clean cuts, and the absence of nicks on their animals. Because in this line of work, respect is the true measure of mastery. Backhand index pointing right from here, these fleeces begin their transformation from something raw and rustic to something pure and full of potential. And it all starts with the art of sorting. Fleece arrives still warm from the field, a little wild, a little tangled, carrying with it the smell of pasture and a year's worth of wind, rain, and dust. But this is where the raw becomes refined. In the scouring plant, modern machinery meets centuries-old goals. To clean, to purify, and to prepare. Each fleece is first laid flat on sorting tables, where trained eyes scan every inch. Skilled graders separate the fine, long strands from the coarse or contaminated bits. It's not glamorous work, but it's essential. Then the journey into water begins. Inside a series of massive stainless steel tanks, filled with water heated to over 170 degrees Fahrenheit, 77 degrees Celsius. The wool is bathed. The first tanks contain a gentle, biodegradable soap. Their job? To dissolve lanolin, the natural oil secreted by sheep to waterproof their fleece. It's thick, golden, and surprisingly valuable. In fact, lanolin is harvested and refined to make lip balm, skincare, even baby products. Yes, your favorite moisturizer might just come from a sheep. The next tanks rinse the wool. Not once, but multiple times. Each wash is filtered, recirculated, and optimized to conserve water and reduce waste. Then, with a touch of heat and a breath of air, the wool is gently dried. Not baked, not scorched, just warmed until it reaches a perfect 12% moisture, soft and supple. What emerges is no longer dirty fleece. It's clean fiber, bright, springy, and full of potential. Every batch is labeled, logged, and inspected again, because consistency matters. And every imperfection caught here is one less problem downstream. But maybe what's most striking about this phase isn't the machinery. It's the philosophy. In a world that's quick to discard and replace, the wool industry shows us something different. That purity can be reclaimed. That nature, with a little help, can become something flawless. Now that the wool is cleaned, it's time to bring structure to softness through a process called carding, where fibers are lined, united, and made ready for the thread of tomorrow. At first glance, the clean wool looks like a cloud, soft, weightless, and aimless. But to become fabric, it must have structure, direction, purpose. That's where carding comes in. A process as old as spinning itself, and just as poetic. Inside the carding machine, rows of metal rolls rotate at carefully calibrated speeds. Some pull, some stretch. Others tease the fibers apart and draw them back together until every strand lies parallel, side by side, like notes in song. The result? A continuous, delicate web called a sliver, smooth, consistent, and ready to become yarn. But here's what's beautiful. Despite the steel and sensors, the goal is deeply human, to bring order to softness. And unit in smaller workshops, this is still done by hand, with wooden paddles lined with fine wire teeth. The artisan sits patiently, brushing it back and forth, again and again. It can take hours. But what emerges carries a unique character, a whisper of the maker's hand in every strand. This stage doesn't just affect how the wool looks, it determines how it feels. Its strength, its drape, its durability. Every mistake here, every mistangle or uneven line will echo all the way to the finished garment. So it's done slowly, precisely, with quiet respect for material. Because from now on, the wool is no longer just fiber. It's becoming form. And the next step is where form meets function, spinning. The ancient art transforming loose fiber into strong, beautiful thread. By now, the wool has traveled far, from windswept hills to machines that hum with precision, but it's still not fabric. Not yet. That moment comes here, in the heart of the weaving room. First, the spun yarn is tested. Tension, humidity, strength, every variable must align. Then comes warping. Thousands of threads are lined up, parallel and taut, threaded through needles and heddles with the precision of a watchmaker. Even a single misaligned strand could disrupt the entire pattern. Next, the loom comes to life. The weft threads dart across, interlocking with the warp, over,
wrapped
under,
in a soft,
over,
ancient
under.
wool blanket.
It happens at lightning speed.
Connects us.
But the result is ancient. A fabric born from intersection, pressure, and patience. Sensors monitor every move. If a thread breaks, the loom stops instantly. No second chances. No wasted wool. Once the fabric reaches its required length, it's rolled, inspected, and then sent for finishing. There,
Feel the
cloth is
weight of
immersed in
time.
warm water and gently agitated, a process called fulling. This natural felting causes fibers to lock even tighter, increasing warmth, density, and softness. Some fabrics are dyed, others steamed, all are brushed and dried. Everything is calibrated to enhance the feel, fix the color, and preserve the structure. And then comes the transformation. In temperature-controlled cutting rooms, digital blades slice the fabric with surgical accuracy. Patterns are laid, sleeves aligned, collars matched. Sewing machines hum, steam presses shape, and slowly, piece by piece, the coat, the scarf, the blanket emerges. Not just warm but intentional. Not just clothing but craft. The wool that began as a breeze on a sheep fabric now folds neatly into boxes, ready to travel across oceans and cities, to land softly on shoulders that will never know the farmer, the shearer, or the spinner, but will feel the care they left behind. In our final chapter, we'll reflect on what wool truly represents, why it still matters, and what it teaches us about the beauty of things made slowly with love. So why wool? In a world chasing faster, cheaper, shinier, Why do we still return
Weft
to
thread
something as
interlocking
old
with
as
the warp,
civilization itself?
over under, the
Because
birth of the
wool
fabric.
is more than material. It's a memory, woven into every culture that ever braved the cold. It's the warmth of your grandfather's coat, the blanket on your first camping trip, the scarf that belonged to someone you loved. Wool doesn't just insulate the body. It connects us to the hands that raise the sheep, to the minds that engineer the machines, to the quiet pride of those who still believe in doing things right even when no one's watching. In this journey, we've seen soil sweat, science, and soul. We followed a single fleece through open pastures, echoing shearing sheds and humming factories. And in the end, what we hold is not just fabric, it's a promise that sustainability can be beautiful, that nature still has a place in modern life, that something slow, careful, and honest can still endure. So the next time you wear wool, pause, run your fingers across the texture, feel the weight of time in each thread, and know you're not just dressed. You're wrapped in a story thousands of years in the making. If this story moved you, share it. Tell someone what you just learned, and subscribe for more journeys into materials that shape our world quietly but forever.